Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game Over Winnipeg. My name is Brady. I am joined, of course, by my fantastic co-host, Alyssa. After Game 4 of the Stanley Cup, the first round Stanley Cup Finals, not the finals, what am I saying? The Stanley Cup playoffs. Apologies, I'm a little flustered. It's been a frustrating evening for us. After the Jets lose 4-2 to the Vegas Golden Knights, going down 3-1 in the series at home. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. It was a pretty interesting game, pretty fun. We were both at the game, so that's why we're doing it here in person again.
Why we're so late? Sorry.
Why we're so late? Yeah, thank you. We do appreciate it. But yeah, tough game to swallow. The Jets, I thought, played pretty decently. I'll be honest with you. There were definitely some certain issues that were common throughout the game. Certain players did step up when other players did get injured and maybe weren't taking the team onto their back. We'll talk about those players.
All right.
We'll talk about them. But hey, this was against Vegas, and if you're into the sports books, if you guys want to bet, then get in on the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. Every hit, every shot, every goal, from your favorite teams and players. If you had Mark Scheifele getting injured, if you had Blake Wheeler being probably the player of the game, is that controversial?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Then
the betting, because it's not consensus and it's not a guarantee. So.
Yeah. We'll get into all that. But with competitive odds, the best live in play, and more ways than ever to get into the game, like Minute Madness, our exclusive game with so many opportunities to win by the minute. Download the app in Ontario or use the QR code at the bottom of the screen, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. If you have any issues, please do consult the resources in the description. That is the most important. Anyways, let's talk about that game. Alyssa, how are you feeling? In a broad sense, how do you feel about that game?
I mean, let's talk a little bit about the different sort of how you feel about the game when you're there versus when you're not. So this is my first ever NHL playoff game, I believe. I feel like I went to like a random game somewhere in like Ottawa or Edmonton or something. Anyways, not the point. I have never been to a Winnipeg Jets playoff game before, so I was extremely excited. For those of you who are regulars, you could probably see that I don't sound the same as I normally do because I lost my voice immediately upon arrival. I was so excited to be there. It was so much fun. The atmosphere was so great. Gotta hand it to the Jets fans for being way more excited than I was at the end. There was some guy who was taking video for content for like someone, and I just know he has a video of me sitting at the front of my section with my hands in my face, just like staring and watching. It was definitely a very, very intense atmosphere, and it was a lot of fun the entire way through. But as a general consensus from the game itself, the actual product that we saw on the ice, lots of conflicting feelings with players, with the team, with officiating. No, I'm just kidding. And a couple different things like going on out there. Like, it's not one of those games where I can walk away and be like, oh, here's like one super big, huge theme that I really want to address as a whole, or here's one like player who was so good all the way through that I want to talk about. Like, there was good bits and pieces here, there, and everywhere. So that's a whole lot of nothing for you, but that's kind of what my thoughts were on the game right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, like, going to the game is a whole different experience, and even it's completely different than even just being at the whiteout parties.
Totally.
Like, I will say, like, I've been to I went to one of the games. I went to the first playoff game that we had against the Ducks. We got spanked. I'll be honest with you, all the games that I've went to as a fan and been in the building for playoffs, we've lost. So maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe it's some other reasons, which we'll get into. But yeah, like, it's just a different experience. Like, the vibe is so electric, and that's why I sit here now, and even after a game where, I certainly have some bones to pick with certain players, but even after a game where generally I think the Jets played not too bad. They were creating, they were battling, they were going crazy. That's why, as I sit to you right here right now in front of you, I'm just like I just feel like all of my energy, everything has been taken out of me. Maybe
Yeah.
that's from going crazy and screaming and all night and this and that and whatever, but yeah, I think it's also just the dichotomy of how we feel right now versus how it is at the start. Like that
Yeah.
was the loudest I've ever heard that building, and I was there. I worked in the building during the 2018 run, and like it got loud, but like today, like I was like, oh my god, my hearing's actually going. Like I need earplugs, which is something I would never say, by the way. Like I'm not that type of person. But yeah, like I don't know. It was the vibes were immaculate at the start. The first goal, immaculate.
But
everyone's losing their minds.
that first goal, I want to talk about that a little bit. So, obviously, Blake Wheeler was the goal scorer on that one. And if you are a regular, anything like that, or if you're on Jets Twitter in any capacity, or if you watch the Jets, you probably know that people have bones to pick with Blake Wheeler and have been struggling with Blake Wheeler and his usage in a lot of different areas and just across the board with a couple of different things. Blake Wheeler scoring that goal tonight made me super, super emotional. I was screaming my heart out because I genuinely, from the way that guy played, I had some issues with the fumbles and this, that, whatever. This might have been the last hockey game that I ever get to watch Blake Wheeler play in person. And that was really hard for me. Like, that was the whole thing with a lot of this. Is like, when some of these guys, when Mark Scheifele went down the tunnel, I was like, is this the last I'm going to see a Mark Scheifele ever? Like, there's just like this weird where for us right now, it's not just game 5 or game 4, whatever it was, of a regular playoff series. It's, oh my, there's this added pressure and circumstance and whatever about the impending offseason that's just making everything feel a little bit closer to home than it needs to,
Yeah, it was tough. It is hitting a little bit harder, and I gotta say, like, do we want to hop into players of the game yet?
Sure,
Or,
yeah. We can...
Like, my player of the game is Blake Wheeler. Like, and here's the thing, and I'm happy to eat crow on this. I'm happy to say that I was wrong. All season I've been giving him shit for how he plays on the power play, just in general, his usage and everything. Tonight he fucking stepped up. He's not he's not the I'm not the real father, but I'm
not the stepfather, I'm the father who stepped up.
Thank you. That's the one.
But he is our real father.
He is the real father.
He's both. He is our real father and the father who stepped up.
And first off, Mark Scheifele going down early on, like, that is such a huge blow to the team. And, we can all argue and talk about his effectiveness and, how useful he's been. He hasn't, produced a ton.
I hate Mark Scheifele and he's a superstar. Like, that's just...
But you never want to see... it's your team is better off with Mark Scheifele.
Oh, God, yeah.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
Very obviously. And so... seeing him, first off, get that chance, like, almost immediately, and Brossoit just absolutely fucking robbing him.
And sending him into the boards. He did not try and prevent that from happening at all.
Yeah, but I think he's more interested in making the save.
Yeah.
But anyway, so obviously Mark Scheifele goes down, then after, he was slow to get up, then on the power play that is ensuing, he takes one shot, and you can see immediately he is not feeling well. So he goes off and immediately goes down the tunnel. We were scanning the Jets PR, waiting for the tweet, and
refresh.
Eventually, Elliot Friedman comes out and says, he will not return. PR retweets it out, and that's a tough blow. But despite that happening, Blake Wheeler just turning into a prime Patrick Laine. Someone had a tweet. I think it was K dead website or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
On Twitter, classic, great memes, good follow. It was just like Blake Wheeler in the middle of the playoffs randomly, and it's just a photo of Patrick Laine. Wow, like, just what a shot. Fantastic. And then, like, just going on the rest of the game, like, immediately, first off, the lines are kind of jumbled from how they were the previous game, and then on top of that, Scheifele goes down, and you can very quickly see that Rick Bowness, ends up turning to, keeping the Lowry line together as he should, and then he keeps the
top line, the Niederreiter.
Line.
Well, the new makeshift, the Niederreiter Connor Dubois line stuck together, and that was...
And And then after that, it's just pretty much whoever's ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I saw shifts where like Wheeler was in the middle of like Menelainen and AJF.
I saw a lot of Stenlund, Nemestikov, and Wheeler. That was a big line that we saw a lot of. Menelainen, where did he go? He kind of
Well, he had a pretty dog shit game for
yeah, but no, definitely. And so the line blender and all that kind of stuff, just the vibes were kind of off from the beginning. But
he had 6 minutes and 40 seconds on ice, and AJF had 5 minutes.
Dang, yeah. So they ran 3 lines essentially throughout that game. But
Yeah.
you're talking about Blake Wheeler being your player of the game, and it was so funny. Brady and I met up at the second intermission, and he's like, "Oh, I am gonna tear a strip off of," and I was like, "Blake Wheeler," and he's like, "What? He's been our best player," and I was like.
He was the only.
So, but here's my thing. This is where I'm going to defend myself in the sense that you're right, but so am I. And my parents give me a lot of crap for this all the time, where they're talking about how mean I am to players on this show when they watch. And the reason that they get mad at me for it is because, particularly someone like Neil Pionk, where it's just like, he's just not that good, but he's trying out there, and that's why it like makes them sad. They're like, because he's doing his best, because Neil Pionk genuinely always does look like he's doing his best. Blake Wheeler, I found, had so many negative touches on the puck in that second period where it was just like a fumble, a fobble, whatever, the kinds of things that we've seen a lot of from this year. But God, was he trying. The reason he had those fumbles was because he was the only one who gave a damn on the ice. So I was annoyed because I kept seeing him screw things up. But that was because he was the only player who cared enough to screw up. So, and it wasn't like it was that bad, but I think I was just so irritated with everyone. I have a lot more guys that I could tear a lot worse strips off of. He's not like my worst player of the game or anything like that, but like, that's why I don't know. I'm not going to sing my praises to him, but also like watching him get off the ice in that last shift, I was pretty upset. I was.
The thing is with Wheeler, and why I have him as my player of the game today, is that not like I understand the whole puck touches thing, and I think that maybe it's because I've already like accepted that he is gonna fumble the puck here and there. But I also accepted that for Mark Scheifele anytime he's going through the neutral zone on the power play. I've accepted that for a bunch of different players. But Blake Wheeler felt like he was driving the offense tonight. Like the top line was fucking terrible.
I was thinking, do you want to get right into that? Because that's my like SDPN underperformer of the game.
Once again, I will always sing the praises of Nino Niederreiter, because even if he's
no wrong, he's our special little boy.
Even if he's not like contributing on the score sheet, he is banging and crashing, and he is getting in low, and he is battling, absolutely battling. And I just can't say that about, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Pierre-Luc Dubois, maybe like not a great game, definitely not a good one. But fuck.
Sorry,
man.
We get comments that need to be held for review. I need to show this one. There's one that needs to be reviewed. It's I can't figure out Brady's mouse, but someone says Blake Wheeler was hauling ass tonight. Approved. Approved, because he was. Sorry, go on.
You say what you will about Dubois, but oh my God. Did anyone see Cal Connor tonight? Did he play tonight? Like, I'll get into him specifically, but as a whole, that line, my biggest issue is you can take a night off every now and then. You can maybe not have the most effective night, as a top line in the playoffs, because, if you're in the playoffs, you should have a couple lines deep. And
someone's pounding on you, grinding on you, whatever. Like, yeah, sometimes it happens.
But here is the thing. When Mark Scheifele goes down and your second line is Vlad Nemesnikov, Kevin Stenlund, and Blake Wheeler, and they are outperforming your top line of Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kyle Connor specifically, and of course Nino Niederreiter there too, but I don't see that. I'm not even going to talk about Nino. How many times tonight did Kyle Connor walk in, have a perfectly available shot to him, fumble the puck, or just decide he's not going to shoot it, and then take it around the net, and then do nothing.
And do nothing with it. That's my issue, because if that's Pierre-Luc Dubois on the wing, or someone different, I don't mind it as much because of the effectiveness of the way that they push along the boards and then find that cross seam to the high defender, someone on the far side, whatever. But Kyle Connor is so bad in that area when that he's a shooter and that that's his area of strength. If he comes in and he tries to walk it behind the net, he's never coming away from that with the puck. It's always going to lead to a turnover. So shoot the damn puck. And I was just like, he was nowhere to be found tonight. And again, second intermission, we're going, and Brady's like, no, I want a tear strip off of Kyle Connor. And he's supposed to say, like, where was that guy? And my brother's like, no, like, genuinely, I haven't seen him. Like, has he been playing this period? And I was like, no, literally, like, so invisible when we needed him most. When we needed him most, where did he go? Where did he go?
The most frustrating, it was in the second period, I believe. There was one time the Jets were really pressing for offense. They really needed a goal. This is after Vegas goes up 2 goals. We can probably we can get into the goalie interference non-call. We can talk about goaltending and this and that. But there was one specific moment where the Jets created a chance and a rebound popped out to Kyle Connor, who was standing in the hash marks with the puck on his stick, and he does not shoot the puck off of a rebound. Listen, I understand that maybe, Kyle Connor in the regular season might think, oh, I can bring this to my backhand and do a nice little nifty move. Yeah. This is the playoffs. You do not have the time. You do not have the space. Like, what happened to Kyle Connor's killer instinct? This is a guy who scored 47 goals last year. Like, he has been non-existent this entire series, and since what, like January? Yeah. Before then, I don't know.
It's been a weird year for him across the board, where it's like he's still managing to find some points and stuff like that. But like, yeah, like you said, the killer instinct itself, I just feel like has been an area of like what happened to it. Not every player has it, and I get that. But he has. He always has, where it's like on that far side there. He's whipping everything. And then tonight, he had like a couple random like Danny Heatley rockstar area shots where it's like, what the hell are you doing over there? Like, it was just like not him. It's like, who took over this guy's body? Because this isn't the player that I know. And while I'm frustrated and here and annoyed and all of these things, I think I'm just going to keep going and talk about the other stinker on that line, because it seems like the chat is kind of in agreement with me where, we have Benedict who's saying Dubois has a history of showing lack of effort when he's not into the game. Nicholas says Dubois can go. I'm not fussed about it. Everyone knows this is my favorite player, okay? But I just don't understand why he thinks that he can get away with all of these things that he's been called for his entire career. He always gets interference penalties. He gets these weird tripping penalties when he does these weird things. And he's like, oh, I'm so shocked. I'm like, it happens to you every time. Yes, he draws a lot of penalties, and good for him. It was great to get that first one. His power play goals were awesome. But he just looks like he's not there so often. He's on the ice and he's moving around. He's doing like, he's playing, but it looks like his brain is in just like a completely different area. There was one thing tonight, I will say, I love watching him manage the puck along the boards, because he's so good with his feet and getting pucks loose and just maintaining that control without falling over, without doing all these things. Like lots of great stuff. Like, no beef with that. But like, for example, tonight he had one where he just threw it towards the front of the net, and all of a sudden there was a great rebound that came up. This is the slot shot I think you might be talking about, it, or it's a different one. And there was one Jet in front of the net. 3 Vegas guys collapsed on that puck immediately. Nothing came of the rebound. Whereas Pierre-Luc Dubois behind the net, gliding. What are you doing? What is he doing? 95% of the time, it's like, he has the ability to do all these things, but there was just so much tonight of like, why are you doing that? Yeah. Like, it was ineffectiveness, not engaged, uninspired, and it was so frustrating because we know what this player is capable of, but he consistently keeps showing all this stuff, and it's getting to the point where, yes, this is my favorite player for a lot of really different weird emotional reasons, but I want him gone. Send him off somewhere, send him to another team as a rental for a year that wants to contend, because he has the potential to be a good piece. I don't want him on my hockey team anymore. I'm sorry.
That's strong. Like, don't get me wrong, I get where you're coming from, but to hear you being like, get this man off my team.
He was my number 1 center tonight on a game when they needed to win so badly, and where did he go? He didn't do anything. Kyle Connor, he's kind of a one-trick pony, where it's like, if the pucks are coming to him, he's going to shoot the puck and he'll score a goal. Good for him. Pierre-Luc Dubois needed to drive that line. Nino Niederreiter was all on his own. Like, I'm upset. And
I get what, no matter what, any player like Dubois is going to argue the trip, but like, that is a clear, complete, total slew foot. Like, the trip on Eichel, like, I get him, going at Eichel and giving him shit about it, going to the ref, being like, come on, you're going to call that, but like, that's a textbook penalty. I'm sorry. Like, you can't get away with that. People were a little upset about it, but
he approached it like a hit, so I think people were like, oh, he just hit him and he fell. And then we watched the replay, and it's like that, the Alexander Vermistrov clip from like 2012, where he's like screaming at the ref, and all of a sudden he goes into the box and he watches the replay in the Jumbotron, and he's like, Yeah, and he does a little nod. And yeah.
But yeah, and to finally bookend all of it again, it's just the need for players to step up in this game when players go down, when Mark Scheifele's hurt, when Nikolai Ehlers is hurt, when Cole Perfetti's hurt, when Josh Morrissey is hurt. We needed players to step up. I thought Pionk did well to
And
step
that's what
up.
Nicholas said. Nicholas, you nailed it, buddy. I like you.
Like, it's players stepped up, and you look at the people who should be the players who are stepping up, and where are they, man? Like, where are they? And my final thing, and I just wanted to say this because I just need to get this out. The thing with Pierre Dubois and Kyle Connor, it's like the one thing with Pierre Dubois, at very least, you know, he can control the puck on the boards. He can do this. He can do that. You know, it's not a great game because we also expect a lot more from him. We expect him to be good defensively. We expect him to be good physically. But, like, Kyle Connor, if Kyle Connor is not scoring goals
He's not doing anything.
or producing points, he's a non-factor. He does not exist whatsoever.
He'll have one takeaway on the blue line per game, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then he'll miss a guy on a back check 6 times in a game. Before we keep going, though, I just want to mention the link that Brady just posted in the chat, as well as the SDPN posted link that we have pinned at the top of the chat. So this playoff series, the game over Edmonton, game over Toronto, and game over Winnipeg, of course, as well as the rest of the SDPN crew are raising money for Alphabet Sports Collective throughout the entirety of the playoffs. So Alphabet Sports Collective creates a safe and inclusive environment in hockey for folks of all sexual identities and gender expressions through education, community building, and mobilization. So you can donate or check out more through any of the links that we have posted in the chat. It's extremely important to us as a cause, so we really want people to continue to learn about this new organization. They just launched recently, and they have a lot of really great ideas in the works, and we're really proud to support them. So we'll keep going with a couple more things. I need to say that, like, listen, I'm just really upset right now. And we're going to talk a little bit, some earlier people in the chat, you know, some people coming in. We see a lot of people in here who aren't Jets fans, which is really nice. Thank you so much for being here. We do really appreciate the love. People are asking what's happening in this offseason. And trust me, Brady and I are both like sitting, like skirting around this. We're like, this is game over. This isn't season over. So we're trying not to like just jump right to that, but it's such an elephant in the room type of thing, right? Because that's how we're all feeling. And it's like, you can't just erase how that is playing a factor in the way our brains are going. It's, you know, the kind of thing where I'm like, Pierre-Luc Dubois is my favorite player who got traded to my favorite team, and I was so lucky, and this is the last I'm ever going to see of him, and it hurts, and it sucks, and I'm sad.
Yeah, I think we would like to probably save the like full on, you know, post-mortem for, you know, when they actually
when the mortem occurs.
Because here's the thing. Here's the actual thing. And here I think a good place to take the conversation right now is, you know, obviously going down 3-1 makes it pretty tough. You know, you got to win 3 games in a row. But it's happened. It's happened to a lot of teams, notably the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I can think of a couple examples.
And who knows, maybe that could happen again this year. We'll see. We just got to throw a couple daggers in there. Sorry, we're lashing out. We're upset.
Taking it on our boss.
Yeah. But I think what we can talk about maybe tonight is what do you think needs to happen in order for the Jets to have a chance to win this series? Like, or to even make this interesting, like to go past 5 games. What needs to be corrected? What needs to happen? Yeah,
let's talk about it, right? And I think we have to acknowledge, I feel like sometimes I just pick these phrases and I run with them for episodes at a time. I'm gonna say elephant in the room again, is they have some extremely pertinent injuries that are plaguing them right now. Cole Perfetti, manageable on its own. Nikolai Ehlers, huge blow to the team, especially when it comes to the fact that they need more shots and more high danger off the rush shots, because this guy can enter the zone and he also isn't afraid to just clap shots from the top of the circle and score on them relatively frequently, which is great. Josh Morrissey is their best defenseman. There's no question about that. So that's a huge blow as well. And now Mark Scheifele. it would be very difficult. You don't have the internal infrastructure to replace guys like that, because if you did, they'd already be in your lineup, right? It's not going to happen. So that part of it is just really, really hard to ignore. But we have to, because they're inevitably going to be playing on Thursday without them. Well, Nikolai Ehlers, who knows? But I'm not holding out hope for that one. What I think needs to happen is I think this team needs to... I was hoping I was gonna find a thought as I went on this preamble.
I can take it if you want.
I do have a thought, but I think what they need to do is continue to take the momentum that they generate from their special teams, because the power play has been better lately, and the penalty kill I thought was good tonight. I struggled a little bit with some of the positioning, but I thought Adam Lowry at the very top, I thought his instincts were good tonight as always. Like, I think that he's such a factor up there, which is really fantastic. And then after both of the power plays tonight, and after I believe a couple of the penalty kills, they put out their first line, which was hard because their first line wasn't super great tonight. But I struggle with finishing a power play and then throwing your fourth line out there, because you have all this momentum and then you give it up because you're playing guys who suck, and stuff like that. So I think they need to generate on the fact that that's something that's working for them right now, because their 5-on-5 play, I feel like across the board, has been fine, but it hasn't been super, super influential. And I also think that Hellebuck needs to help continuing to bail them out like we know he's able to do, which he hasn't done entirely in the last game or two.
So that was going to be one of my points, and okay. I felt like that was going to be the controversial thing to add at the end, to kind of spark a discussion here. But I'll give you my general overview as to what I believe the Jets need to do. First off, we need a reappearance of Kyle Connor and Pierre-Luc Dubois. That's obvious. We're not going to go into it. We've talked about that enough today. And I think that this team just needs to continue to, not necessarily, like, not be such a slave to momentum, in the sense of when the Vegas Golden Knights score a goal, it feels like everything is over. And listen, I understand that it probably has to do somewhat with, especially at home, with, the feelings inside the building, because obviously the entire energy gets sucked out of it. Like tonight, I felt like I was in like depressive purgatory after they scored 2 goals, but like the game was only half over, right? But the thing with the Jets is they ride momentum so much, and I think that they just need to take a step back when things are not going their way and go, listen, we've come back from 3 goals down, we almost came back tonight, we just need to keep playing our game and continue to fucking shoot the goddamn puck. Oh my god, I
that's an issue.
It's crazy. It's almost insane that like this is the most common criticism from every single
that employs Cal Connor
from every single level of fandom. You need, if you are just starting out, if you are the bottom rank of it's yelling shoot every 2 seconds. But the reality of it is, like, in this series they have not tested Brossoit enough. I think that they did well to create their chances tonight, but I wouldn't say Brossoit has been like the better goalie in this series, but both goalies haven't been fantastic. Neither of them can control a rebound. Brossoit was brutal on his rebounds tonight.
Color me shocked. Like, that's, yeah.
And the Jets need to feed off of that. They need to understand that getting the puck to the net is like, it is a viable way to play. They had some great cycles tonight. They had some great pressure, like times where they were in and just absolutely feeding the Golden Knights.
Like, not to cut you off, but have you seen as many ozone shift changes from this team as you have this year? Like, they've been cycling the puck a lot better, but there are no shots coming from it.
Yeah, and it's just they need to continue to get the puck to the net and creating chaos in front. But then again, like, I look at this game here, and maybe we can chat about that goalie interference. I was trying to bring it up over here to get another look at it.
Well, before we do that,
sorry, I just want to finish this point very quickly. I think that Connor Hellebuck, and I understand the reluctancy to criticize him because he has been a godsend for this team for years. And he kept the Jets in it and got them to the playoffs this year. And he's been fantastic this year. He in my opinion is still a Vezina candidate, despite the fact that the Jets tripped and stumbled for 2 months and couldn't figure it out. But I still believe he is a top goaltender in this league. And I look at this right now, and this series, like, just to call a spade, he has not been Connor Hellebuck this series. He has not shown that he is a dominant top 3 goalie in the world this series. And the Jets kind of need it at the moment. Like, they need him to. They can't have him, like, letting in a Jack Eichel one-timer shot that goes through him and in. They can't be letting, like,
a Brett Howden. Okay, I guess that one.
That one, yeah. But, like, even the third goal tonight, like, that one was just bad. A shot. I mean, like, I'm not sure if it did tip off Barbashev's stick or not, but
that was clean in.
It looked clean to me. And okay. Well, how about this? So, but before we continue, what did you think on the goalie interference? And do you think they got it right? How are you feeling? We've got it up on the side here.
So my issue with that goal is I don't think I fully understand the procedure that was gone through, and I'm inclined to think they made the right call, just because I think that if they hadn't, Rick Bowness would have challenged it, because it wasn't a coach's challenge, it was the ref's own review. And obviously only one ref went back. I don't know what the call was to Toronto or anything like that. It looked like William Karlsson, or whoever that was, 71, yeah. It looks like William Karlsson is in his left pad. And so he's kind of spinning. Like, you watch how he's falling back. That's not a regular goalie save or attempt to save. That's an interfered with position. He had a foot between his pads, and he couldn't slide over to make the save. However, I think that if there was any form of conclusive evidence, someone would have been in Rick Bowness's ear being like, challenge this immediately. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on it. But I don't think Connor Hellebuck was in control of making that save.
Yeah, I look at it, and during the game, I was like, I thought that I was conflicted. It's very tough to really describe what goaltender interference is. When I look at this
card, and I'll let you know what it is today.
When I look at this, I think what I noted was that, Dylan DeMello, like, there definitely is contact between, I believe Karlsson in front, with Hellebuck, but
sorry, I'm reading the chat.
That's what I was about to get to.
Okay.
But the issue is, I think that Hellebuck is out of his crease. He comes up and he is above the blue paint. However, I don't think that just means that, you can't get, like, I'm just wishy-washy on the, like, what even is goaltender interference? But the main thing that I see now in rewatching it with a little more, of a pensive eye to look at it, is that the goal goes in through Connor Hellebuck's 5-hole, and his pad does get kind of caught up on Wild Bill's skate. So it's one of those ones where, it really depends on how you interpret the rule with how crease works. Did Dylan DeMello playing defense have any sort of effect on it? Yeah. But it's very difficult to say. But regardless, we can't have, as a team, and I'm not just going to pin it on Hellebuck, even though I think that he should have been able to make that save. You can't be giving up 2 goals back to back like that in the middle of a second period, especially, like, I was ready to criticize Hellebuck for the first period. I thought he looked really shaky. And then the second period starts and he was incredible for, like, the first 10 minutes. Like, and I think that's important to acknowledge that if we're going to criticize here, but he didn't have his rebound control. Like, this, I was saying to Lyss in the second intermission, or first intermission, like, this is the first time I've ever felt in a long time, like, actually, like, worried anytime a shot is being shot against us, or no matter the danger of the shot, I felt scared, like something was going to happen, if it was going to bounce off someone and go in. Maybe that's just how the playoffs work. But I think the reality of it here is, like, I am critical of how Hellebuck's played, but I also think that this is kind of what you get when you play your goaltender 64 games out of 82. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure no one can really say what the difference really is between, Hellebuck playing 55 games and playing 64, and if he's more refreshed here. But they rode him down that final stretch of the season. I think he played probably the last 14 games of
Yeah.
the season, I want to say, except for the last one.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's tough. And go ahead, sorry.
My whole thing is, I think you're nailing a lot of this where you're wishy-washy on it, and it's the same way as I'm wishy-washy on a couple of the skaters where I'm like, there were things that were good, there were things that were bad, but the reality is, especially with the injuries that are currently plaguing this team, every player needs to be at their best. Connor Hellebuck's version of his best is far more impactful than anything else any other Winnipeg Jet can produce, and because of that, his 80% is extremely effective and good. But this Winnipeg Jets team has only gotten to where they are, which is sneaking into a playoff spot because their goaltender carried them on their back. So when your goaltender no longer does that, where he's just playing well, which is something that you should be prepared for, they're not. And we know that they're not because they haven't been for the entirety that he's been their goaltender. It's just the kind of thing where it would be the same way as if Kyle Connor had a 47 goal season and all of a sudden scored 0 goals in the playoffs. You have to adjust for that. And it's people aren't prepared for that because that's not how you've been playing, is having to deal with, not having an easy goal on a power play from your guy on the right side. It's just when everyone needs to be at their best and a player's not, that's why teams lose games. So I'm not pinning it on him. I'm just pinning it on the fact that maybe they become overly reliant. But either way, you don't really have time to really deep dive into the analysis of why. And, are we over reliant? And how should we mitigate that? You have one game left. So if he's not going to be at his best, they need other people to be at their best as well. And you'd ideally like to see everyone, but I think it comes from the offensive management of the puck and getting more shots on net.
Someone's got to step up.
Someone's got to step up. And Adam Lowry has been doing his damn best.
I'm literally about to say.
He's been doing his damn best, and I have no beef with that player whatsoever. I think I praised him pretty hard last show, and all of that stuff still stands. And I was saying earlier, just the effectiveness on the penalty kill and all those things, the extra poke, there's just a lot of really good stuff that comes from that player, but he cannot do everything. He is your third line center. He's your second line center, kinda, but he can't do everything, right? And so one middle six player being at their best or beyond their best doesn't do shit. Good for Adam Lowry, and I respect the heck out of him. He's doing a ton. But it's not enough. You can't, and we see how thrilled everyone is, how the whole team is fired up because one guy is doing his best. Where is everyone else? I guess Morgan Barron, I feel like I want to put in that category too, because he's kind of slaying right now. Neil Pionk is exceeding expectations, but no one's doing quite like Adam Lowry is doing.
Yeah. And I think we're probably gonna wrap it up here. I don't know if there's much else you want to chat about, but I'm glad you mentioned Morgan Barron because God, and honestly, just that entire line, Mason Appleton too, they were by far the best line that the Jets had tonight. I would say in the sense of getting zone time and ensuring that they were banging and crashing and making life difficult for the Golden Knights in their own end and getting the puck out. I think the offense was mostly carried by the Wheeler line, the Stenlund, Wheeler, and Nemestikov line.
Guys, yeah.
But man, there were so many shifts where Lowry's line was just out there for minutes on end of just absolutely controlling the play. Anytime the puck was given up, they were on the next man, finishing their checks, playing good, hard playoff hockey. And, those guys have stepped up, and it's fantastic that they have, but you need more than just one line and, maybe a 36-year-old previous captain to step up.
And you think about all of these other teams that have won in the playoffs. Sure, the Colorado Avalanche had some great players deeper in their lineup. Val Nichushkin is a notable one that's, been super good for them. But they didn't win the cup with Val Nichushkin being their most important player and Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen doing nothing. Think about, I don't know, the St. Louis Blues the year that they won and they rode a hot Jordan Binnington to the cup final. Where was Ryan O'Reilly? There. You have your depth guys need to be there too, and it's okay, but it doesn't do anything unless your top guys are your top guys, or at least outperforming the other team's top guys, which is not happening right now. And that's the whole frustration, and just point of contention with the team. And once again, I fully understand and acknowledge the fact that losing Scheifele, Morrissey, Ehlers, and being question marks on those guys over the span of like 3 games is awful. I don't think, like, we're seeing the closest equivalent I can come up with right now is Boston not having Bergeron and Krejci, whatever. It's like, it's from a team that had no injuries all year to try and deal with this right now. It's like, are you kidding me?
I'm just gonna say, there's no way you just compared the Jets to Boston. There is no goddamn way you just did that.
What I mean is the team that you are today and that you're prepared to play, and all of a sudden on a dime not having key players to your core. That's all. That's where the similarities start and end.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, it's the Jets still have a chance here. It's not over yet. They played well today. They did. They played well, but they just had moments of...
Their possession was a lot cleaner. That was a big thing, and like we said, more shots is important. Logan Stanley came into the lineup, 0 shots, bitch. What are you here for? That's your job. That's your job, is to shoot random pucks. He did have a lot of loose cannons that went towards the net. So
I'll be honest, man. Like I have no I mean, he wasn't great.
He also had like 6 minutes of ice time, which is also kind of fair. Like I think I give the biggest, like, I give
9 minutes
beef to Logan Stanley. Everyone knows that. Come on, like, it's the kind of thing where it's like I almost feel like I can't talk about him because of how mean I am. But I fully believe that he would be more effective if he had a couple of extra more recent games under his belt. He's in a little bit of a tough sitch right now, and it's hard to throw someone to a game like this. But
he wasn't like significantly bad. Like there was only like 1 or 2 times where I'm like, oh man, you're gonna get beat there. But like, I'll be honest, I didn't mind him. Like first of all, didn't notice him a lot. That's always a good thing,
especially with him.
And the other thing is, the times I was noticing him, he was doing what I wanted him to do, which was being a prick in front of the net, making life difficult for Mark Stone and Jack Eichel in front of the net. Like that's all I could have asked for from him, and not to get scored on and not to get this and that. I think that he generally was he on again for a goal against. I need to make sure. I don't see anything. I don't know. Whatever. I thought he looked fine, and that's like obviously he's not Josh Morrissey, very obviously, but I think that the Jets did well to manage all the different injuries that they had, and yeah, it really just is on those top players. Like we need a full team effort, a full 60-minute, maybe more, God forbid, effort from this team, but it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of the reason I'm getting so wound up and bent out of shape is that I have a finance exam on Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. So I won't be doing Game Over on Thursday. So I'm like kind of, preparing for the worst and mourning before the actual loss. But I think Nicholas kind of sums up my thoughts, where he's like, love all you Winnipeggers. At the end of the day, it's a great thing we're able to talk Jets playoffs, because for a huge chunk of my life we had nothing. It's always going to be a hard road for us. And that was what Brady and I talked about on the way here. We were driving, and we were both coming up with these like bizarre analogies about iPad kids and avocado toast, about just this Winnipeg Jets team and the conflicting feelings.
We give absolutely no context to that.
I'm not giving context, and that's okay.
We'll talk about it later.
But because I just have a lot of emotions about this, and like the will they, won't they with the playoffs, and like from the business perspective, from the emotional perspective, from the fan perspective, from all these different things. And it's like, just have a lot of feelings. And like, so I'm glad that this isn't the end, because I think we could probably talk for 4.5 hours about, all of the circumstances surrounding this impending offseason. So we'll just kind of call it at this tonight, and say that we had a fantastic time, even though that we were a little bit stressed and sadder than we wanted to be. It was a fantastic time, and we're lucky to get to watch this team play. We're lucky that we have the ability to connect with all of you guys about this and talk about how we want this team to be better, because now that they're here, we want to make them good, and this is, where we're at with
and
that.
We're lucky to be able to be in the building. Like that's one thing I missed it. I missed playoff hockey, and there really is nothing like it. And despite the outcome tonight, I think tonight was disappointing, but it is what it is. I think, there are certain excuses we can all bring up, and not I don't think that they should be excuses, but it is important to, recognize the Jets are not playing at their highest potential of their best, potential lineup, but every team is or isn't at this point of the year, so it is what it is. But I think right here we're probably gonna end up wrapping it up here. First off, please do like the stream. We really appreciate you guys joining us here, staying up late. It is already 12:40. It's not the double, or I guess the double OT. Thank God the double OT game was on Saturday at the matinee game. But yeah, like we cannot thank you guys enough. Again, as we get closer and closer to potentially the end, we get more and more sentimental about this season and everything that you guys as listeners have provided us. We truly are grateful for all the time you guys do spend with us, and we can't wait to get back to chatting with you guys again, hopefully for many more than just one game. But I guess it is on the Jets to figure that out.
Balls in their court.
Balls
in their court.
Balls in their court.
Look at the sports references. I know other stuff.
Anyways, with that, thank you all for watching. Once again, Alphabet Sports Collective, link is in the chat. If you have any couple extra dollars, huck it over there. And yeah, we really do appreciate you. Follow me on Twitter at NHL Chunky. Follow us on Twitter at Lyss Hood. Follow SCPN Sports. Check out Game Over merch. Good. Do whatever you. I don't know. Do whatever you want. It's whatever you. I don't care. And that's a good outro.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Brady lives I am downtown. We are not near my home, and I'm like, I gotta go pick up my family from the bar. We're gonna go, and it's night's not over yet. So no, but it's been a ton of fun, and we thank everyone for being so active in the chat. You guys always bring up a lot of really awesome insights, and a lot of great perspectives. Make sure if you're listening right now, you leave a like on your way out. If you're listening in tomorrow morning, thank you so much for being here as always, and we will see you guys on Thursday.
Have yourselves a good one. Stay safe and enjoy.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.